I'm State Representative Janine Nodder, and this is the first episode of Chatting with Janine for 2014. My guest this week is the sponsor of House Bill 1503, Griffins Law. And please welcome Representative Leon Rideout.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, and Semper Fi. You're a Marine, aren't you?
Definitely.
And you serve on the Committee of State and Federal Relations and Veterans Affairs.
That's correct.
Yeah, I see you across the way there.
Yeah, it's a great committee.
It is. Yeah, I'm on it too, and for my second term, and we all seem to be together when it comes to the veterans issues.
It's definitely veterans issues is definitely a uniter between the parties, and it is good to see us being able to work together on a lot of those issues.
It's that state federal stuff that's where we part company.
Yeah, on a lot of the different little House resolutions and stuff that come up, a lot of times we part company from the other party, but then again, when it comes to veterans issues, we always seem to be able to come back together and come to a good solution.
Well, I hope we all come together for Griffin's Law. So
I am hopeful.
So let's tell everybody, Griffin, who is Griffin?
Griffin was my unborn grandson, and I was introduced to the fact that New Hampshire did not have a fetal homicide law or a fetal protection law.
Oh, we tried.
Yes.
We tried. We fought that last term, and it got ugly.
Last June, on June 4th, actually, my daughter Ashlyn was involved in a car accident that was caused by a negligent driver, and she was 7.5 months pregnant.
Oh, almost done.
And in the course of it, she was severely injured, and Griffin passed away from injuries shortly after being delivered by an emergency C-section. And they attempted to revive him for 40 minutes, but it was too late. So.
Did she get to hold him?
Yes, actually, we all did. It was kind of a bittersweet. You're welcoming them into the world and also saying goodbye at the same time. But they have found, I guess, through whatever research, that it's helpful to the mothers and the families to be able to hold the child and say goodbye, especially such a late term.
Right. But currently, New Hampshire doesn't even acknowledge little 7.5 months and not acknowledged as a human being.
No, they do not. And shortly after the accident, I actually received an email from a former representative who also was actually married to my niece and asked me to check into what was then HB1503. And after a lot of things settled down, I did look into it. Became interested in introducing some kind of a legislation to address the issue, especially since that had passed both houses by a wide margin and just missed being, the veto of Governor Lynch just missed being overridden. So, but I kind of started the process looking at that bill and then looking at some model legislation from different groups, also researching legislation in other states. New Hampshire is far from a leader in this area, since 38 other states have a fetal protection law.
Right. Well, the abortion lobby is very strong in New Hampshire. They've got a ton of money. But I went to the March for, I know this isn't an abortion bill, but just some people might see it that way because you're acknowledging the unborn as a human, and the pro-abortion people don't want to acknowledge it as a human because then they'd have to justify what they're doing.
Correct.
But at the March for Life this weekend, it was like such a long line. It was snowing, it was freezing, and we had a bigger crowd than last year. This endless line of people marching, and we were silent. Nobody engaged with the screaming banshees across the street. There was a handful of them screaming things. I mean, in front of little kids, they have no shame. It was just something. But I presume you're going to have a lot of opposition from the pro-abortion crowd.
From what I hear, yes, actually, that there will be quite a bit of opposition. I've heard from sources that NARAL will be coming full force against Griffin's Law.
They might even pack the gallery. They can bust people in. You never know.
Yeah, and I say, all right. I've offered to sit down with any group that opposes it and see if they can justify changes to the law. I consider it a pro-choice, pro-life bill. A lot of people say, how can it be? I'm pro-life. I'd never recommend anyone to use the option of abortion. But in this matter, to me, it's more important to get the protection for the unborn and for its mother in the cases that happen, accidents from negligent driving. We've had my daughter's accident this year. We've had the tragedy over on I-89,
Right.
where once again the woman was 8 months pregnant with little Reagan, and the other driver is now charged with 2 counts of murder, but they don't count.
It should be 3 counts of
It
murder.
should be 3 counts.
But see, I don't understand the opposition, because when they want their child, I mean, I'm curious. One of these days, I might ask them, you know, what are you carrying there? I don't know about you, but I carried a baby. What do you have in there?
Right.
If you don't acknowledge that it's a baby,
Oh, so I see a
or do they? If
poster
it's wanted,
just
do they?
a little while ago. Nobody ever says that they're expecting a clump of cells. So
That's true, but we had this lobbyist. She would always come to our committee. I don't know if you were there yet. I don't know whether it was last year or the year before, but she was pregnant, and she was there trying to catch one of us saying something so she could make a video and make us look bad. But I was very I wanted to ask her, what do you have in there anyway?
well, and on this bill, like I said, even though I'm pro-life, I looked at it, looked at other states' legislation, and I came back to House Bill 217. It's a good bill. It fits with New Hampshire's current homicide laws.
What year was that, House Bill 217?
It was finally the veto override failed in 2012, so I believe it was introduced in 2011.
Okay, that was the one. Kathy Souza was the prime sponsor.
Correct.
All right, DJ Bentoncourt was still our majority leader, and he wanted to compromise. He wanted to make it, or if that's the same bill, 24 weeks, anything after?
Yes. The original bill was from conception, and originally that was my idea, that the bill would again be from conception. The House moved it to 24 weeks. It went to the Senate, and the Senate said, no, we want it at 8 weeks. And that's how it passed the Senate. During the committee of conference, the House must have agreed to it because it went to the governor's desk, and Governor Lynch vetoed it.
Good Catholic that he is, huh?
Yes. And then when it came back to the House, there were some, unfortunately, Republican members, actually, if the Republicans had stuck together, the bill, the override would have stuck. But they used the excuse that they thought 8 weeks was too early. I argue 8 weeks isn't too early. The child should be protected, and it should be recognized when the mother makes the choice to have the child. Everyone talks, well, I'm pro-choice or I'm pro-life. This bill protects the abortion choice, but it also protects the mother and recognizes her right to carry a child to life. And in my mind, it's the only true pro-choice bill that we've seen in the legislature, because it protects both sides of it, and it recognizes the fact once the mother makes the choice to carry a child, that child should have some kind of protection, and she should have some kind of a protection.
Oh, I agree. And I see you have a ribbon on that says Griffin, 2 little feet.
Yes. That actually came about because the community got together in the North Country, and they had a memorial softball tournament for Griffin.
Wow.
And to raise funds to offset some expenses that obviously my daughter and her boyfriend had. And it was quite successful. We're going to hopefully turn that into a annual event that we can use the funds towards other purposes in the North Country to help families out.
So where do you live exactly?
I live in Lancaster.
And how close is that to Canada?
I don't know the exact time. Probably if you could go as the crow flies, 40 or 50 miles, but the road's a little switchback when you...
How long does it take you to drive to the State House?
I can usually make it in good weather in about an hour and 45 minutes.
That's a long way. Okay, it takes me about, well, once I get on the highway, it's about 30 minutes, and so about 35 to 40 minutes.
Yep.
And then the walk, it takes time to walk to where I need to go. So I need to give myself an hour to get there, to get ready and prepared for committee.
Yep. And I usually try to leave Lancaster 6:30 in the morning. to get there.
You're
and
dedicated. You're a good representative too. This is still your first term, right?
Yes, it is.
This is your first time.
People tell me that, what are you doing? You can't take these things on. I'm like, well, yeah, I can.
No, you do. You take things on, and you speak at the well. You speak well, and most representatives do not speak on the House floor. They're afraid of that mic.
Yeah, well,
they're afraid of everybody looking at them.
When I ran for the seat, one of the things coming from Coos County, which it's a large county, but it's small in population. It seemed our representatives came down to the State House and kind of disappeared. You never heard anything from them. And I promised that if I got elected that I would come down to Concord and make some noise, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, you're doing a good job. So
I appreciate that.
It's an honor to serve with you.
So, well, it's an honor to serve with you.
And thank you for allowing me to be a co-sponsor for Griffins Law.
Well, I thank you, as with many other ones. When I first started talking about it, as you probably heard in a couple of the meetings, it wasn't real popular that it would have a male prime sponsor.
Well, because one of the it was my bill. I had a bill for women's right to know. It's like, why can't women know the risks? Why can't they know that there's options? I don't understand. You know, that's a true choice. How can you make a choice if you're uninformed?
Yep.
But yeah, that didn't go over well. But we had, and there was one woman from the other side who said, "Oh, all you men, it's just you men, blah blah." She was going on. I went, "Excuse me, the sponsors are 10 women."
Yeah,
we had 10 women.
That might have been the concern, but I kind of looked at it, going through the experience last summer and stuff. It's not a women's issue bill. It's actually a family issue bill, and I look at it as a pro-family. The death of an expected child affects the whole family, not just, obviously the mother is probably and the father's more affected, but it does affect the whole family. And in the North Country, the small ones, it actually affected the whole community, and it was great to see come together.
Yeah, I was surprised when you said that. Yeah, that they had the softball team, their softball tournament rather.
Yep. So and my daughter and her boyfriend have been extremely strong. Very proud of them and how they've handled the situation. And as bad of a tragedy as it is, we're all just kind of dedicated to the fact that we need to try to turn some good out of a very bad situation.
Are you getting any nasty calls in the middle of the night?
Haven't got the nasty calls yet. I'm kind of expecting them.
Oh yeah, they come. I get them.
I've been surprised, really, in talking with some of the Democratic Party, that there is support there for it.
Really?
There's some hesitancy to come out publicly and say they're going to support it.
So no roll call. I don't see. That's hard. That's a hard decision to make.
That's a hard decision to make.
Some people, if they don't have to put their name on it, they might vote.
And that'll probably be a decision that I'll actually make on the House floor.
But then it might not be your choice either, because you know, like the leader of the pro-abortion caucus, I don't know what they call themselves, Candace Richard, she might jump up and ask for a roll call.
And that's always a possibility, and that's all right. If that happens, I'm hoping that it's a common sense enough bill, and it's a strong enough bill that enough people will see the worth of it to pass it. I think if we get it to the Senate, it'll get through the Senate, and then it'll be a job of lobbying Governor Hassan to make sure that she signs the bill.
Well, I hope she does.
Yes, I'm hopeful she will. She did put a statement out on it, because we got a lot of publicity.
Oh, really? Wow.
A few weeks ago. And she kind of meandered around the issue that she'd look at the science and the morality and so forth of it. I'm not so big on the science. They're not concerned about science when a woman makes the choice to have